that I was the truest nigga involved with Biggie's success. I was the biggest help. I was the truest nigga. I don't write his rhymes, but he know how much he borrowed from me.
We are back again, and today we'll be building on So It's All About Versace. You copied my style, 5 shots couldn't drop me. I took in and smile, now I'm about to set the record straight. With my accounts to the thug that they love to hate. I'm front NEW jerseys with plenty murders occur. First off, I want to say this. We got to kill all. I see it. I be on Twitter X a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I see a lot of people try to front on the Outlaws, and I think that's crazy. Like, you sound crazy front on the Outlaws. I think you need to go back and listen to some of them verses that the Outlaws were dropping. Right? These was, you know what I'm saying? These wasn't no whack dudes, man. Yaki Gaddafi was nice. Yaki Gaddafi was nice. Fatal was nice. You know what I mean? Young Noble could put words together. Like, y'all be tripping, man. Y'all be tripping sometimes. But, anyway, that ain't what we here for. You know what I'm saying? We are here to discuss Tupac and Versace. Right? Tupac and Johnny Versace. Now, the reason that this conversation is important because it's important for you to know that the reason why you see so many cats now decked out, you know, when it comes to the rap, but ain't even outside of rap, you know, decked out in European designer and fashion, you know, let's say real designer fashion pieces, right? You know, because many would say Dapper Dan in the 80s, you know, a lot of drug dealers, New York era, Big Daddy Kane and all them was wearing MCM and pieces like that, but that was Dapper Dan, right? So those was not necessarily official exclusive pieces, right? Not like that. So no knock on Dapper Dan. Dapper Dan is a legend, right? And I think he got hired later on by one of the high end European fashion companies, right, to help design. Um, just like um, just like Virgil, right? And I remember Kanye being upset that Virgil signed with one of the big companies out there. I can't remember if it was Louis Vuitton or one of them, but he signed with one of them. And I remember Kanye being upset because Kanye was like, "That's what they do, right? They separate us." Because Kanye wanted to have his whole little team together, you know, to go up against them, and then you know, one of them was able to buy Virgil off. You know, make Virgil an offer he can't refuse, as they say in Godfather One. Godfather One is an economic film, right? It's an economic film, and it shows you how things work. You know how organizations work, and one of the things that they do is, um, you know, they make you an offer that you can't refuse, as Vito Corleone say, right? And this is why Kanye. This is the origin of why Kanye was so upset and still is, sadly, still upset with Virgil. He feel like Virgil back stabbed him. You know what I mean? So, you know, once an enemy, always an enemy with some of the Geminis, right? Um, that's what Tupac said. And we are here to build about Tupac. So enough of that. Back to this. Back to this point. So this point that I'm speaking on right now is that to find out which rapper really put the whole game on exclusive pieces, we gotta go back to like 93, 94, right? 93, 94, because, you know, when Tupac first came out, you seen Tupac wearing, he had the Thug Life overalls, the Scully, he had the all denim joint, you know, the whole denim joint when he was at the award show with Rosie Perez. He rocked the Carl Kanai. Shout out to Carl Kanai. That's a black brand, classic black brand. Tupac used to put on. You know what I'm saying? And Tupac did all the Carl Kanai sponsoring for free, right? So Tupac wore a lot of Carl Kanai for free. Tupac had his Thug Life shit on. Um he would dress like just a fly street nigga. He was a fly street nigga. You know what I'm saying? And that's jerseys and that's sports gear. You know, all that stuff like that. However, um, you know, '94 it was a change in Pac, right? And it was because Pac was able to meet um Madonna, right? Pac was able to meet Madonna, and Madonna had connections in the European high end fashion industry, right? Because Madonna was big at the time. Um, like what Sabrina Carpenter is now on steroids, literally. You know what I'm saying? So Madonna was huge, and she was into the European fashion industry, and she had connections, and Johnny Versace was one of her connections, and she also rubbed shoulders with a street guy named Haitian Jack, right? Haitian Jack, and Haitian Jack and Tupac would take a liking to each other, right? Through this connection through Madonna, and Haitian Jack was a fly nigga, you know what I'm saying? A fly nigga. He was into all that fly shit, the Rolexes, the European high end designer, not the Dapper Dan joints, but he was copping the real joints. You know what I'm saying? He was copping the real joints. Uh, and by Pac hanging with him, Pac's style began to change some a lot. Pac's style went into more of that high end designer shit, but you didn't really get to see it because too much early on because Pac was um Pac caught a case with Haitian Jack, and this case would destroy their friendship, right? And then it would, after that case, Tupac would be shot soon after, and then after that, he'd be in prison, right? He'd be in prison for about a year, right? So you didn't really get to see Pac put that shit together yet because he was sitting in prison. Now, while in prison, through all the controversy, this case, he had a case in Michigan for hitting a local rapper with a bat, allegedly. He had to shooting with the police in Atlanta. He had a lot of stuff going on. It was controversy, right? And controversy sells, and it always has drama sells. Tupac's music was amazing. I think Tupac is my favorite. Tupac and Nas are my favorite artists, as you know. His music was amazing, but to be realistic, I know that the world loves bullshit, right? The world loves bullshit. So, unfortunately, the controversy helped, expose Tupac to a more broad audience, right? Even, till you get to the point where, when you get to the point where people just know your name, right? Even if they don't know rap, they just like Tupac. Tupac. You watch a lot of these you watch a lot of these old vintage clips, and you see what the white journalists and interviewers running up to Tupac like, Tupac, can I ask you a question? You know what I'm saying? They don't even know his name. It's just that the controversy's big, and he became. That's when you become a big star. It's like, you become a big star. So while Tupac is in prison, he's becoming a big star due to all this controversy. And then on top of that, the music is great, right? So while locked up, he has the number one album in the world, right? And people are anticipating his release from prison. So Suge and Jimmy Iovine gives Suge the money, and Suge is bonds him out, right? He bonds him out. So when Pac is bonded out, even though his relationship with Haitian Jack is gone, and I think he broke up with Madonna while in prison. They wasn't together, but I think he cut that off, like, you know what I mean, for whatever reason. Even though people say Madonna, I think it wasn't like a bad breakup. It was like we're gonna do it like this. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have a. They did it like that. You know what I'm saying? It was like a peaceful thing, and because Madonna really held Tupac down in prison. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people know that Keisha did, his wife at the time. Yes, Tupac was married at the time, and the bad little Puerto Rican chick, I forget her name. She be doing the interviews with Vlad and all them. She held Pot down, and then Madonna also held Pot down. Jada held Pot down. Jasmine Guy held Pot down. Right, so it was women that was holding Pot down. Afeni was holding Pot down. Right, so anyway, Tupac get out of prison. He still got the he still got a lot to say on his chest, right? Niggas been dissing Pac the whole time he was locked up. And that's why when people say, "Oh, Tupac come off as the aggressor in a lot of this shit." Right? That's why people say Tupac started the beef. You remember Fun Flex was crying and the Tupac started the beef. Biggie wouldn't have been. He was on putting all his antics and shit, acting like he forgot. You know what I'm saying? I love Big, but don't act like you forgot, nigga. Big goddamn literally dropped who shot you. Even if he made it months prior, when your mans get shot, why would you drop a song called Who Shot You? We ain't even gonna get into that because that's just basic street nigga information. If me and my dog come up together and he make a song called Who Shot You, and I get shot, and then he drop it. Come on, yo, what is that? So excuse me, part itself, So it's crazy that niggas even debate that because it's like that's just common logic. Come on, my nigga, let's just be realistic, right? You know what I'm saying? If you get shot and your man's dropped his song he made called "Who Shot Ya," separate the weak from the oster, lead. Hard to creep them Brooklyn streets. It's on, nigga. Fuck all that bickering beef. Cause I can hear sweat trickling down your cheek. Your heartbeat sound like Sasquatch feet. It's thundering and shaking the concrete. Come on. Then the shit stopped when they called the cops. Neighbors called the cops cause they heard mad shots. Two in the quarter, slaughter, electrical tape around your daughter. Old school need to learn though. I burn, baby, burn like disco inferno. Burn slow like blunts and yayo. Peel more skins than Idaho potato. Niggas know the lyrical molesting is taking place. Fucking with B.I.G. it ain't safe. I make your skin take. Thrashes on the asses. Blunts and bruises. The land cruises. Big Papa smash fools. Ass fools. Niggas mad because I know that cash rules. Everything around me. 2 Glock 9s. Any motherfucker whispering about mines. And BK's finest. You rewind this. Bad boys behind this. Come on, my nigga. I love Big. Y'all be playing with me like, cause I love Pac. Y'all niggas don't think I love Big. That's crazy. But I love Big. But you rewind this. Bad boys behind this. Come on, my nigga. Let's stop playing. Let's stop playing, bro. It was crazy to drop that song, whether you made it or whether you didn't make it later on or after. You don't drop that when your mans get shot and he wondering who the hell shot him. And he wondering if you got connections. Because a lot of people say, oh, people think Big set him up. No, Pac never thought Big set him up. Pac wanted Big to tell him information on who did it. Holla at me. Like the song Holla at Me. On all eyes on me. You need to holla at me, nigga. Like, we got shit to talk about. I'll put you on. Tupac did a lot for Big. People don't realize that. Tupac literally took Big on his first fucking tour. Let him open up for him. Showed him success. And people don't realize, like, when a nigga show you just a little bit of success, you coming from the streets and you ain't never seen shit. Like, nobody ever made it out your hood and all that shit. And then you meet a nigga and the nigga show you success. Even if it's not your success yet, this nigga didn't introduce you enough to motivate you. Like, I'm that close, bruh. You supposed to be loyal to that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that Big was loyal enough to that. He didn't even put Pac on his first album. I don't even remember him shouting Pac out on the first album. So, Pac might have been feeling the type of way. On top of that, people was already like, Tupac was already feeling the type of way because, even though Big admired Pac, Pac kind of ran with Big kind of ran with Pac shit. And the baby, how Pac had the Hennessy, said they're looking for my enemies. He stressed the words. And then later on, Master P was still this shit. Nah. That was Pac. The whole militant, we in camouflage and all, that's all Pac. And Pac took Master P on his first shit. See, Murder got the tat across the stomach like Pac. No Limit full of a lot of niggas who loved Pac. So the Slim said, I'm the realest nigga you ever heard besides Pac. You know what I'm saying? Got niggas screaming to the cell block. Come on, that's my nigga Soulja Slim. R.I.P. Soulja Slim. Now, so Tupac had the baby babe. Biggie had the baby baby. But it was derived from Tupac's Hennessy. Said it looking for my enemy. You know what I'm saying? It's a catchy way to hook a nigga. It's like a hook. It's like a hook in between the verse. Cause the hook is what hook a nigga. Right? That's why it's called the hook. It's to hook your nigga. Even a nigga who ain't listening can't catch all the words. He can catch that in me. In the sea. You know what I'm saying? And if he missed everything else, he caught that. So Biggie did the baby. He did the baby. And it became a thing and Pac caught that. And even when, as Pac did Pac was his obsession with death. His premonition of death. This became also a thing that Biggie would take heed to because Tupac had the Tupac had the I see death around the corner. You know what I'm saying? Survive. How can I survive in the city where the skinny niggas die? You know what I mean? And then Biggie had the I don't want to live no more. Sometimes I see death knocking at my front door. You know what I'm saying? It was the same shit. And Tupac is like, damn, I know you my nigga and all, but goddamn, dog. And then on top of that, like Pac said in his last interview, you got on it because Tupac Biggie was supposed to originally be down with Thug. Like that's why I used to see Big with Stretch and all them. He was supposed to technically be down with Thug Life. However, and it could have took to me it could have took Thug Life to the next level, but Big had to be his own man, so he did the right thing. I'm not knocking that. However, this is where I believe Big went wrong at. When Big got on, Big didn't necessarily show that gratitude to Pac. Because some people didn't even know that Pac was putting Big on like that unless she was actually in the mix like that, right? You didn't even know because Snoop and them was like the first time they met Big was when he was with Pac. So when Big got on like that, you wouldn't even knew if you was on the outside, from outside of that shit, you wouldn't even know that them boys was connected into the beef. You know what I'm saying? Because through the music, like I say, Big's first album, he never shouted out Pac. Pac don't got a cameo in the video. You know what I'm saying? So, um, it was weird. It was a weird thing. You know what I'm saying? Now, um, anyway, off that, right? So this is the tension of it. Now, as Tupac gets out of prison, again, Haitian Jack is gone out of the picture, right? But at the same time, but Tupac then learned, and now he got connections through Madonna and all this shit. Johnny Versace loved Pac, right? Madonna then made the connection, and Johnny Versace loved Pac, right? And Johnny Versace, he thought Pac was beautiful, right? This is obviously a gay man, and we're gonna break it down in another video how European fashion is. I think I touched on it in the video in the past. Is a gender fluid type of fashion, right? And many men that's in urban culture, urban fashion don't necessarily understand this, right? But it is because it goes to the liberal arts. When you think of liberal, you think of free, right? Liberty is you're dealing with somebody that's free, right? And you think of conservative, you think of consume, or you could think of conservative, you think of concluded. I think that's a word, right? um, you know, being, you've been more disclosed, right? So you conserved, right? And at the same time, liberal is free, conservative is non-free. So these are, and that you deal with more of the religion side. That's why you deal with more religion and more strict behavior, right? Now, I'm not saying whether it's good or bad. I'm just saying on the conservative side, you deal with more strict behavior, like women shouldn't do this, men shouldn't do that. These type of standards. However, when you deal with the liberal arts and stuff, this is why you find artists and creators that are more free, right? Men painting their nails, men wearing dresses. Me and Tupac had the nose ring in at a time where I don't even think niggas was wearing two earrings yet, right? Uh, it was a time where when I was a kid, you only got one ear pierced if you was a man. If you was a boy, if you was a girl, you got two. You know what I'm saying? Let alone get your nose pierced. Pac had the nose piercing. So Pac come from the art world, and Pac come from artists, right? Many people many of the Black Panthers were university students, right? So they were liberal. They were liberal. Afeni helped gays in prison. Some people don't know that, right? So anyway, to this point now, Tupac is out and he's making his mark, right? Everybody been waiting on his return. He's out now. He's rocking the in his fashion has just made a tremendous jump, right? Into a level that niggas ain't got yet. This would be like not to sound too crazy, but Cause what I'm saying is like the way Tupac was doing it, the way he was putting this Versace on, and this he had ties with Milan. I think it was a bunch of other European high end brands that niggas was not on yet. Niggas was not on this shit yet. And then it's what's crazy is the only nigga that was really on it like that, outside of like, Tupac, was Big. Cause Big always had the Versace frames. Big was a fly ass nigga. But but when it got into like high end designer and shit, that was more Pac. So Tupac was feeling the type of way because he got connection with Versace. Versace sending Tupac exclusive designer sneakers, right? So in '96, Tupac in '95, '96, Tupac is wearing Versace drawers. Pause. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just Tupac is wearing Versace socks, Versace sneakers that ain't even dropped. This is futuristic shit. You know what I'm saying? This is like This is like putting Steph Curry in the game in 1985 and he's shooting from half court. You know what I'm saying? The only nigga that was kind of keeping pace with it was Big and Puff. Big and Puff had the Versace shirts on, and they had the Versace frames. And this is another thing that Tupac was like, yo, this nigga keep biting. This nigga keep biting. And then I got shot, and then he dropped the song, and it felt like he dissing me. Right? So, the tension is brewing. The tension been brewing. But that ain't what we're here to discuss today. But we do want to deal with that because that line was, now it's all about Versace. You copy my style. 5 shots couldn't drop me. I took it and smiled. Now I'm about to set the record straight. When my AK, I'm still the thug that you love to hate. Come on. Because Big was doing the Versace. Puff was doing the Versace. Who y'all got that from? Nigga, me. Because I'm the one that got Versace phone number. I'm the one and Tupac was the first hip hop artist to go overseas and walk the runway. Exclusive pieces, right? So from 95 to 96 into the time of Tupac's demise, tragically, sadly, Tupac is putting that shit on. You starting to see him nothing but designer shit. And if you really study like Pop from when he first came out to like 95, 96 when he got out of prison, this nigga was wearing shit. Look at the materials. The materials, nigga. You know what I'm saying? The materials on some of them suits, that Armani suits. The shit was just plush. You know what I'm saying? For my niggas who into fashion. And it's crazy because it was so ahead of its time. That's what people don't understand. It was so ahead of its time for Tupac to do that. You know what I'm saying? And it paved the way. It paved the way because, like I said, you start to see pictures of Tupac and Compton with the Versace. Tupac wearing the Versace boxers and briefs that niggas be wearing now. Like, this nigga was on that shit back then. You know what I'm saying? And he introduced the game to it. And just think about the way how far he could have took it, right? If this death doesn't happen, think about how far he could have took that shit, the high end designer shit. And I know some people say, man, I feel kind of fucked up about it because Tupac was, he was come from a communist, socialist type of background, being a cub, right? And that may be true, and I understand that. However, Tupac was poor as a rapper. Tupac had fame like a lot of rappers, but he didn't have a lot of money, right? He didn't have a lot of money. Even when he died, his mom and him had to move out the house. He was Tupac was in a lot of bad contracts, and this European designer connections was probably gonna help him a lot more than the record business would have at that time. So Tupac had to learn that communism and socialist ideologies do mean well, but in the capitalistic society, realistically, it's kind of eat or get ate. So I don't know how you feel about that, but because like I say, it's like nowadays you see rappers in Dior and all that shit, and niggas can't afford that. But so niggas definitely couldn't afford that shit that he was putting on back then. Years down the road, you see Versace, and them niggas got the same shit that Pac had on in '95. You know what I'm saying? It's just and they didn't even shout Pac out. And they may not even know that was Pac. You know what I'm saying? The only nigga I seen that really like, the only young nigga, me and him the same. He a little bit older than me. The only nigga that I seen from our era that really like showed niggas like, yo, Pac was the first one to put niggas on this shit was ASAP Rocky. ASAP Rocky is tied in with the fashion industry and high end designer. He put that shit on because okay, so it went in ways. So Tupac passed, right? Big was Big was never gonna be no modeling type shit, but Big was putting on for the big fly niggas and all that. And I say that, and I'm not saying that in a fat shaming way. I'm saying that in the way that when you look at a model, you look at like if you watch fashion shows for high end fashion, you see that you have to have a certain figure, right? You had to even the males had to have a certain physique. When you look at Tupac's jawline, when you think of a model, you think of a jawline, right? So a physique. This is because it's for the clothes that they are making is for this action figure type of this Barbie type of you see what I'm saying figure. So even though like I say Big was putting on for the big fly niggas, but Big would never have been able to take it to that level where Tupac took it because it took a physique, right? Even remember when Kanye was going at it, when he was because Kanye later. Okay, let's go through the phases of this, right? Tupac dies, and then it kind of goes back to a renaissance of before that you had Carl Kanai, you had Cross Color, you had all that. Then it went to your Fubu, it went to not Tommy because Tommy, you know, we were Tommy, but it wasn't on. It went to your Fubu. Well, let's say fuck it. It don't matter. We went to your Fubu. It went to your Tommy. It went to your Nautica. It went to your Sean John. It went to your Ice. You know, it went to all that shit. Now, so for a minute, it's like niggas ain't putting that on like that. The high end designer, and then the resurges again later on with I believe Kanye West. As Kanye gets into the game, another Gemini, right? Like Tupac, Kanye is really, really into Ralph Lauren. And Ralph Lauren is America's best brand. I just did a thread about it yesterday. You know, everybody who know me know I'm a diehard Ralph Lauren fan. I love collecting the pieces as quality. This is and people look down on Ralph Lauren. People don't know what the fuck they be talking about. You know what I'm saying? Niggas can Ralph Lauren. Hey, Ralph Lauren sweater cost Sharia nigga D up. Can't nobody hold the guy. Had to raise the fee up. Anyway, but you know my point. So what I'm saying is, you know, Ralph Lauren, that's an American brand. That's the only difference. If Ralph Lauren was in Europe, niggas would really, really like be on the dick of Ralph Lauren like that. But Ralph Lauren is an American brand, and it's one of the best brands ever. You know what I'm saying? The only mistake was putting some of the pieces in Marshalls. Putting some of the pieces in Marshalls and putting some of the pieces in places like Ross, but those are even your lower end type of pieces. But their only mistake was putting that because you in the capitalistic society, you never make it where niggas can afford it, right? Because when you make it where niggas can afford it, it loses its value, right? This is capitalistic society, and especially people at the bottom put a lot of value on price. We know that when we buy a cashmere sweater from Ralph Lauren, we know that we are buying it for the quality, right? What it took to the materials in that took to make that. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily for the name every single time. However, some people are just caught up in the name, right? So when they see it's cheap, they don't want it, right? If they can attain it, they don't want it. So they want things that it's harder for people to afford because it has more exclusivity. I think that's a word. Exclusivity. I'm from the South, man. You know what I'm saying? Help me. Yeah, y'all work with me now. Now from that, with that being said, so Kanye gets in the game, and Kanye is a diehard Ralph Lauren fan, right? He learns the game, and he begins to. You start to see Kanye wearing the Mason Margiela. Kanye rocking some of the Balenciaga and all that, and then a little bit after that, this a little bit after that, it goes into your ASAP Rocky with rocking your Rick Owens, your Ralph Simmons, and then you start getting start getting more of like the collabs, the Adidas collabs. I got a couple in the closet myself, the Oswegos, and you know what I'm saying, the Stan Smiths had Ralph Simmons collabs where they would, all leather joints, you know what I'm saying? But this is the Rick Owens Geo baskets. This is all ASAP Rocky era, and then Future also played a part in that. And then next thing you know, it was like boom, You know, and that floodgate opened, and then it was like everybody was in that shit. Also, too, I gotta show them Prada joints. Niggas was wearing them Prada joints for a little bit, but it phased out, right? And now I think some people wearing them again. Anyway, so Tupac is the originator of this shit that niggas do now, right? All that designer shit. Even you see West Side Gun and you know the designer gangster, right? The designer gangster, and you had to give some of the, you know, as much as you hated being a Tupac fan, you had to give some of the credit to Haitian Jack, right? Because Haitian Jack was, you know, the real live nigga who was, you know, putting it on. He was putting it on. He had doing the gold bottle champagne, broke the Rolexes, introducing Tupac to all that. And sometimes when you show a real nigga some shit, he'll take it, and with Tupac's platform, he could take it and, you know, put it for the world to see, take it to the next level. And now we are where we at now, where it's like, you know, every rapper gotta have the Balenciaga, the Dior, you know what I'm saying? Tupac bridged those connections. Literally, Tupac bridged that connection for Tupac through Johnny Versace and Madonna, and Haitian Jack were able to build the connection for hip hop to enter the high end fashion world, right? And now it's like that was '96, so you know, 20 some odd years later, and look where we at with it. You know what I'm saying? We getting collabs and shit. And we seeing rappers rap at these shows, rappers rap at fashion shows. This was Tupac. This was Tupac first. This is all Tupac. And you know, we owe it to Tupac more to talk about the real influence that this nigga had, because he was only 25 when he transitioned, right? So the fashion industry, all that fly shit, the young niggas, because it's funny to me because a lot of young niggas be trying to hate on Pac, and it's just miseducation, you know. But they don't like the music. But okay, if let's say you don't like the music because your taste is trash, right? Or I'm just throwing a jab at them, you know what I'm saying? But even if you don't like the music, all of that high end fashion shit that you own, like, you know what I'm saying, Yachty and all that, the fashion that you own, it comes from Tupac. It comes from Pac. So even then, you should pay Tupac homage and respect, because Tupac was that bridge. As Tupac said, he was gonna be the bridge, you know, for the East Coast niggas and West Coast niggas. That was his thing for Southern niggas. Tupac was also the bridge, because let's break that down real quick. Because Tupac was New York, Cali, and then Atlanta. You know, and of course Baltimore and all that. But I'm just saying, Tupac was the connection, right, from New York, Atlanta, and Cali. Right now, what's your hottest places in when it comes to rap in the mainstream? New York, Cali, and Atlanta. Tupac touched all them places, right? So this is why Southern niggas like Pimp C loved Pac, Scarface loved Pac, Goody Mob loved Pac. The Panthers, a lot of them relocated in Atlanta. I think Kanye's father was a Panther that is from Atlanta, right? Kanye was born in Atlanta, so Tupac's family was in Atlanta, right? So you know, people don't know that Tupac spent a lot of his life in Atlanta. That's why he shot the cops in Atlanta. Tupac was at the Freakniks and all that in Atlanta, right? Fat Joe said he ran into Tupac at I forgot damn, I can't remember. Jack the Rapper in Atlanta, right? So Tupac did a lot of shit in Atlanta. That was really his home, right? That was really his home. And Tupac, that's why Tupac was fucking with Master P. He was on what the Southern niggas was on. He liked Onyx. He was on what the New York niggas was on. He was in Cali. He liked what the Cali niggas was on, right? So Tupac was well connected in Universal, right? With that being said, I know Pac loved the Midwest. You know what I'm saying? I know he did. So, and that was his thing, One Nation. We doing this shit for One Nation. 50 niggas united. That was the 50 niggas. You know, Nipsey paid homage to him with the song 50 niggas. That was 50 niggas united. You know, across the nation. Fuck what state you repping. Fuck all that shit. You know, that was his issue with Big. Big keep talking about Brooklyn. So the whole West Side, that was really just to try to kill the Brooklyn shit. Because let's do it like One Nation. In his last interview, he said that. Let's stop talking about where we from then, nigga. I'm only reason Tupac, and if you really pay attention, Tupac didn't really do that. Tupac never really rep where he was from in his music until Big did it, and he was trying to out sarcastically outdo Big in that department. Oh, Big, damn, Biggie, East Coast nigga, New York nigga. Because remember when Biggie got on, Biggie dissed E40. They say who the wackest rapper? He said E40. That's Tupac, man. Tupac had love for the Bay, right? So, this was an issue. This was an issue. You know what I'm saying? And it was divisive. And this we dealing with a lot of East Coast bias at the time, and you know, and Tupac wasn't with that. Tupac was trying to do the One Nation thing, right? So, um, that's so we need to show more homage to Pac when it comes to being the originator of this shit, because now you seeing like with the internet, even though it's some East Coast bias still exists, you know what I'm saying? Like a southern lyricist is hard, but that ain't even always East Coast bias, because a lot of southern people don't necessarily support the southern lyricists. But that's another story for another time. But the point is that nowadays you can't tell all the way where artists is from, because it's just like it's just rap, nigga. It's just universal rap. Right, and that's what Tupac was heading for. Tupac was doing the One Nation shit. Yo, let's quit all the East Coast, West Coast shit, and all that shit. And that's why his last album, he said, you know, I'm really, I had to get that shit out the way. And then you know what I'm saying. Now we can really get back to this making music and making money and doing all we need to do, right? Because he was locked up for that year, and why niggas was dissing him, you know. Because some people don't even know. Like, see, a lot of the disses towards Pac was subliminal disses, right? Some get locked, shot down, and turned on. Cowardly heart, straight up shook ones. He ain't a crook, son. He just a shook one. Thug life, we still living it. Right, this was Mob, you know what I'm saying? Take RP Prodigy, you know what I'm saying? Taking shots at Pac. A lot of people took shots at Pac while he was locked up. When Tupac got out, he unleashed that shit. But you know what I'm saying? After this Machiavelli album, you know what I'm saying? He was like, fuck that, and we getting back to this other shit. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna try to bring it together. That's why he was working with Millie Mill and all them before he transitioned. That was his goal, to try to clean up some of the mess. You know what I'm saying? Try to make it back one, united, and it never got to that place, unfortunately, because of some bad decision making, or maybe some government involvement. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Because you got to keep in mind that the Panthers were infiltrated, right? The Nation was infiltrated. Marcus Garvey was infiltrated. Tupac was part of a black organization that has a history of gunning down police. Tupac gunned down two police. They didn't, obviously they survived, but and he made music about gunning down police. And he had interviews about gunning down, let's clean that up, bad police, right? And he's connected still. At that time, he's still visiting Matulu, still knows Geronimo Pratt. He got ties. His mom, you know what I'm saying? So this scares government, especially when you platform somebody like that. That's why you see the mainstream would never sign another artist like Tupac. You getting Kendrick, and Kendrick loves Pac, but I'm telling you, Kendrick is more of Andre 3000 than he is Tupac, and that's not a bad thing. But Tupac was a revolutionary and a radical in his music, right? Tupac is like Ice Cube, 92 Ice Cube with Chuck D, with more style to him, with more style and more aura. You know what I'm saying? And that's what make a nigga more dangerous. Always, I'm gonna leave that for another time. But right now, everybody who haven't yet, I need you to subscribe. On that note, family, we are out. Peace.